Welcome to the deep dive. Whenever we sit down and look through a new stack of sources, we always keep you, the learner, in mind.
Always.
Yeah, we know you're looking to cut through the noise, avoid the overwhelming information overload out there, and get straight to the insights that actually matter.
And today's material really matters.
It does. Today, we were looking at some fascinating excerpts from the infographics edition of Stephen R. Covey's landmark work, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Which is just a classic.
Oh, absolutely. But I know what you might be thinking. A book with 7 habits in the title sounds like it's going to be a simple checklist.
Right, like maybe some time management hacks or scheduling tricks.
Exactly. But looking through this material, the mission of this deep dive is actually much larger. It's about fundamentally rewiring how you view success, problem solving, and the way you navigate your relationships.
That underlying goal is critical to establish right away. If we just run through a list of habits, we completely miss the foundation of the source material. We live in an era that is completely obsessed with life hacks, quick fixes, and optimizing every single second of the day.
Everyone wants a shortcut.
They do. But the text makes a very strong argument that real effectiveness isn't found in superficial techniques. It's not about learning a new psychological trick to aggressively negotiate a contract.
Or how to fake a sympathetic smile for customer service.
Exactly. It's about uncovering deep, fundamental principles and shifting our focus toward true character building.
I want to jump right into a story from the sources that perfectly illustrates why those superficial techniques usually fail.
The baseball story.
Yes. Okay, let's unpack this. Covey shares a deeply relatable, real-world story about struggling with one of his sons. The boy was having a really hard time socially and athletically.
He was a bit smaller than the other kids.
Smaller, uncoordinated, and when he played baseball, he would swing the bat almost before the ball was even pitched. People were actually laughing at him.
Which is heartbreaking for a parent.
It really is. So the parents stepped in and did what almost any supportive parent would try to do. They tried to psych him up.
They used all the classic positive reinforcement techniques.
Yeah, they were constantly on the sidelines yelling, "Come on, you can do it. Just keep your eye on the ball. We believe in you."
But it totally failed.
Completely. The kid just ended up crying and insisting he would never be any good.
What's fascinating here is the psychological realization the parents eventually had to confront. They had to take a major step back and examine their own internal motives.
Because the positivity wasn't working?
No, it wasn't. They realized that their outward efforts to help him were failing, because deep down, their internal belief was that their son was fundamentally inadequate.
Wow.
In their minds, he was someone who was behind and constantly needed to be protected from failure. So even though their words were positive and encouraging, the underlying message they were actually communicating to him was,
"You aren't capable on your own, so we have to artificially prop you up."
exactly.
That is such a harsh mirror to look into.
It really is. To actually change the situation, they couldn't just read a new parenting book on motivational techniques.
Right. They had to change themselves.
More importantly, they had to genuinely change their perception of him. They had to stop seeing him as a problem to be fixed and start seeing his inherent unique potential.
And once they stopped overprotecting him and let him develop at his own pace, he naturally found his own confidence.
Which brings up a massive historical shift that the sources highlight.
Yes, and it completely caught me off guard. Covey apparently studied 200 years of success literature in the United States, going all the way back to 1776.
A massive undertaking.
And he found a very stark dividing line right around World War I. What exactly caused that pivot, and what changed in the way we define success?
Well, the shift is profoundly revealing about our modern culture. From 1776 up to about 1926, the literature was almost entirely focused on what the text calls the character ethic.
The character ethic.
Right. This was the established idea that the foundation of success is deeply rooted in intrinsic principles. Things like integrity, humility, patience, courage, justice, and the golden rule.
So it was about who you were at your core.
Exactly. But post-World War I, as society became more industrialized and media-driven, the literature shifted dramatically toward the personality ethic. Success became a function of public image, quick fix techniques, and human influence strategies. It became about how to dress, how to project confidence, how to win friends through charm.
It sounds like it turned into social band-aids, just putting aspirin on a deeper problem.
That's a great way to put it. The personality ethic focuses exclusively on the surface, Now, communication skills training, influence strategies, and having a positive mental attitude aren't inherently bad things,
Sure.
but the text categorizes them as secondary traits. The character ethic is about primary greatness.
Okay, so primary versus secondary.
Think of it this way. If you try to use human influence strategies to get your team to work harder or to get someone to trust you, but your core character is fundamentally flawed or insincere, those techniques simply won't work in the long run.
People see right through it.
You do. The underlying duplicity will eventually breed distrust.
I love the analogy the text uses here to ground this concept. Think about the way we approach school. I know I was guilty of this in college.
I think we all were.
You goof off for a few weeks and then you cram the night before a big exam. And the crazy thing is, sometimes that quick fix approach actually works.
You can cram, pass the test, and walk away feeling successful.
Exactly. But imagine taking that exact same cramming approach to a farm.
Oh boy.
Right. Imagine forgetting to plant your seeds in the spring, partying all summer long, and then trying to cram a massive harvest over a single weekend in the fall.
It is completely
A
ridiculous.
farm is a natural system. You reap exactly what you sow, and there are absolutely no shortcuts to the process.
If we connect this to the bigger picture for you, the listener, it reveals a hard truth about our daily interactions.
Because we try to cram in life.
We do.
Yeah.
You might be able to fake your way through a short-term social encounter. You can absolutely charm someone at a quick networking event using the personality ethic.
Yeah.
But in a long-term relationship, whether that's with a spouse, a teenage child, or a business partner you see every day, those secondary traits cannot mask a lack of primary greatness.
The true motives always surface.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
In the end, what communicates most eloquently isn't what you say or how you say it, but what you actually are.
So if we have been accidentally leaning on the personality ethic, trying to cram on a farm, how do we start fixing that underlying character?
The sources point heavily to this concept of paradigms.
Let's use the map example. Let's say you are trying to navigate your way to a specific building in downtown Chicago. But because of a bizarre printing error, the physical map you've been given is actually a map of Detroit.
A very frustrating situation.
Very. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. If we apply the personality ethic to this problem, we'd focus on behavior and attitude.
Right, the secondary traits.
You could work on your behavior by driving faster and being more diligent.
And that just gets you to the wrong place faster.
Exactly. Or you could work on your attitude and think incredibly positive thoughts about the journey.
But you are still completely lost.
You're still in Detroit. The map is your paradigm. It's the lens through which you see the world. If you have the wrong map, your behavior and your attitude literally do not matter.
The psychological power of these paradigms, these internal mental maps, is incredible.
It really is.
The sources reference a famous Harvard Business School optical illusion experiment to prove just how deeply our paradigms dictate our reality.
The young woman and the old woman.
Yes. In the experiment, half a room of intelligent students is shown a picture of a young, fashionable woman for just 10 seconds. The other half of the room is shown a picture of a sad, older woman with a large nose, also for just 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Barely any time.
Exactly. Then both groups are shown a single composite image that perfectly combines the ambiguous lines of both pictures.
And the result is staggering.
Almost everyone who was conditioned with the young woman saw a young woman in the composite, and those conditioned with the old woman saw an old woman.
Even though they're looking at the exact same image.
Just 10 seconds of conditioning completely altered what two groups of people saw when looking at the exact same facts, the exact same black and white lines.
10 seconds. That just blows my mind. If 10 seconds can do that, imagine the conditioning of an entire lifetime of experiences, biases, and environment.
It shapes everything we see.
But the text also talks about what happens when that paradigm suddenly breaks. Covey shares this incredibly emotional story of being on a quiet New York subway on a Sunday morning.
This is such a powerful example.
People are reading, resting, it's very peaceful. Then a man gets on with his children, and the kids are being absolutely wild.
They're yelling, throwing things, disturbing everyone.
And the man just sits there next to Covey with his eyes closed, doing absolutely nothing to stop them. Covey's getting incredibly irritated.
Naturally.
The whole subway car is irritated. Finally, Covey turns to him and, with obvious restraint, asks him to please control his kids.
And that is the exact moment the paradigm shifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
The man slowly opens his eyes, looks around as if coming to consciousness, and softly says that they just came from the hospital where the children's mother died an hour ago.
Wow.
He says he doesn't know what to think, and the kids clearly don't know how to handle it either.
It's a profound, heartbreaking moment. And notice what happens to Covey. His paradigm shifted instantly.
The map changed.
He didn't have to force a change in his attitude. He didn't have to practice a behavioral technique to calm his anger. Once he saw the situation differently, once he had the correct map, his irritation vanished entirely.
His heart was immediately filled with compassion, and his behavior naturally followed as he offered to help.
That is the raw power of a paradigm shift. There's a brilliant Thoreau quote in the text. For every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of evil, there is one striking at the root.
Striking at the root.
If you want quantum change, true transformation, you can't just hack at the leaves of your attitude and behavior. You have to strike at the root. You have to change the paradigm.
But that raises a big question. If our internal maps can be so easily flawed, what is the correct map? What is the objective reality we're supposed to be aiming for?
Right.
The sources use a great nautical story to explain this. A massive battleship is maneuvering in heavy fog. The captain sees a light ahead on a direct collision course and signals the vessel to change course 20 degrees.
And the reply comes back through the fog.
Advisable for you to change course.
Which doesn't go over well.
Not at all. The captain is furious, so he sends back, I'm a captain, change course.
The reply, I'm a seaman second class. You had better change course.
Finally, the captain sends his ultimate threat. I'm a battleship, change course.
And the final flashing light comes back. I'm a lighthouse.
I love that.
And naturally, the battleship changed course. That story beautifully illustrates that true, objective reality is based on principles.
Principles are the lighthouses.
Exactly. Things like fairness, honesty, human dignity, quality, and potential. They are lighthouses. They are natural, unbreakable laws of human interaction. You cannot break them.
You can only break yourself against them.
If your personal mental map doesn't account for the lighthouse, you're going to crash, no matter how positive your attitude is.
So if we know the lighthouses are out there, how do we actually align our internal maps with them? According to the text, it all comes down to habits.
But not in the way we usually think of them.
No, the sources don't treat habits like simple daily routines. They describe breaking a deeply ingrained bad habit as being similar to the Apollo 11 liftoff.
The gravity pull.
Yes. At first, the gravity pull of your old ways is immense. It takes a massive, disproportionate amount of energy to break deeply embedded tendencies like chronic procrastination or selfishness.
But once you push through that initial gravity pull, you break free into a whole new dimension of freedom.
To get to that freedom, the text provides a very specific definition of a habit. It defines a habit as the intersection of three specific things.
Knowledge, skill, and desire.
Right.
Knowledge is the theoretical paradigm, knowing what to do and why you need to do it. Skill is the practical application, knowing how to do it. And desire is the emotional motivation, actually wanting to do it.
You need all three overlapping circles to make something a permanent, life-altering habit.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for our overarching personal growth? Well, the sources structure these habits along what is called the maturity continuum.
This is a crucial framework.
It says we all naturally start life in a state of dependence. That's the paradigm of you. You take care of me, you come through for me, or I blame you if things go wrong.
Like an infant.
Exactly. The next evolutionary stage is independence. That's the paradigm of I. I am responsible, I can do it, I can rely on myself.
This raises an important question, especially for us today. Modern society is absolutely obsessed with independence.
We really are.
We treat it as the ultimate finish line. Throwing off the shackles, doing your own thing, not needing anybody. But the text aggressively challenges that.
It says independence isn't the final goal.
No. True effectiveness doesn't stop at independence. The ultimate goal, the highest level of the continuum, is interdependence.
Interdependence.
That's the paradigm of we.
Yeah.
We can cooperate, we can combine our unique talents to create something vastly greater than we could alone.
So independence is just a step along the way.
Being independent is a necessary stepping stone, But trying to navigate a highly interconnected, complex world with only an independent mindset is like trying to play tennis with a golf club.
It's simply the wrong tool.
It's the wrong tool for the reality of human relationships.
It makes complete sense that trying to force purely independent behavior in a deeply interconnected world is a recipe for disaster. But how do we actually manage those interconnected relationships without burning ourselves out or ruining the dynamic?
The sources point to something called the PPC balance.
They use Aesop's classic fable of the goose and the golden egg. You probably remember it. A poor farmer finds his goose is suddenly laying eggs of pure gold.
He hits the jackpot.
He gets incredibly rich, but he also gets incredibly greedy. He can't wait for just one egg a day, so he cuts the goose open to get them all at once and finds absolutely nothing inside.
He killed the asset that produced his wealth.
The text says true effectiveness is the balance between P, which is the production of desired results, the golden eggs, and PC, which is production capability.
Maintaining the health and welfare of the goose.
Right.
We ruin this delicate balance all the time in the real world, often without realizing it. Think of it in a business context.
Okay.
Say there's a beloved local restaurant that serves amazing clam chowder and has a loyal customer base. The business is sold, and the new owner wants to rapidly increase the golden eggs, the daily profits.
So he cuts corners.
He starts watering down the chowder and buying cheaper ingredients. For a month or two, profits soar. The golden eggs are flowing.
But eventually, the customers realize the quality has dropped.
Trust is utterly destroyed, the word of mouth turns toxic, and the business dwindles to nothing. The new owner focused entirely on the golden egg and completely starved the goose, which in this case was the customer loyalty and trust.
It applies just as heavily to families, too. Covey shares a personal story of taking his daughter out on a special one-on-one date. He wants to invest in their relationship, so he asks her what she wants to do, and she chooses to go see Star Wars.
It's a great choice.
Now, Covey admits he doesn't like fantasy movies at all. He'd actually slept through it before, but he commits to it because she chose it.
He's investing in the goose.
While they're watching the movie, his daughter leans over and explains that the philosophy of the Jedi Knights is exactly what her dad teaches in his leadership work.
That's amazing.
Suddenly, he's fascinated. They bond over this shared realization, and it turns into this wonderful, deeply connected evening. The relationship between him and his daughter is the goose. The fun evening they shared, the actual event, was the golden egg. By intentionally investing in the goose, they got the golden egg naturally.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, I want to pose a question to you, the listener. Where in your life are you so focused on the golden egg that you are actively starving the goose?
That's a great question.
Are you pushing an employee so hard for immediate quarterly results that you're burning them out and driving them to quit? Are you nagging a partner to the point where the daily tasks get done, but the emotional relationship is suffering?
Maintaining that PPC balance is the absolute essence of long-term effectiveness.
And building that balance, keeping that goose healthy, starts with habit 1. Be proactive.
The text explains that this all begins with the ultimate human endowment, which is self-awareness. Unlike animals, we have the unique capacity to actually stand apart from ourselves and observe our own thoughts.
We can step outside ourselves.
We are not our moods. We are not our feelings. We have the ability to examine our own programming and decide if we want to change it.
To illustrate the sheer psychological power of this self-awareness, the text points to the harrowing yet deeply inspiring story of Viktor Frankl.
This is a heavy one.
It is. He was a psychiatrist imprisoned in the Nazi death camps during World War II. He lost almost his entire family to the gas ovens. He suffered unimaginable physical and emotional torture.
Unimaginable.
But one day, naked and alone in a small room, he realized something profoundly paradigm-shifting. His captors could control his entire physical environment. They do whatever they wanted to his body, but they could not control his inner identity.
The last of the human freedoms.
Yes. He realized that between the stimulus of what was happening to him and his response to it, there was a gap. And in that gap, he had the freedom to choose his response.
He used his memory and imagination.
He projected himself into the future, visualizing himself lecturing his students about the psychological lessons he was learning right there in the camp.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The text completely redefines the word proactive here. It separates it from the casual way we use it, like just taking initiative or being a go-getter at work, and repositions it as literal responsibility.
The ability to choose your response.
To consciously subordinate an impulse to a value. The text contrasts this with reactive people who are entirely driven by feelings and circumstances. If the weather is bad, they feel bad. If someone insults them, they immediately get defensive.
But proactive people, they carry their own weather.
Consider the story in the text about the nurse working at San Quentin prison. She was absolutely miserable. She cared for a terribly ungrateful, mean patient who found fault with everything she did.
It was ruining her life.
She genuinely felt her life was being ruined by this man's treatment of her. But when she was introduced to this concept of proactivity and responsibility, she had to swallow a very bitter pill.
She realized she had actively chosen to let him make her miserable.
By consenting to be hurt by his words, she was empowering his bad behavior. When she finally realized she had the power to choose her internal response, that she could provide medical care for him without emotionally allowing him to destroy her peace, she said she felt like she was literally being let out of prison herself.
To map this out visually, the sources use a concept called the two circles.
Okay, let's picture this.
Imagine a large outer circle called your circle of concern. This is filled with everything you worry about: the economy, the weather, the national debt, your boss's mood, other people's flaws.
Things we spend way too much time on.
Reactive people focus all their time and emotional energy here. And because they're focusing on things they absolutely cannot control, they feel powerless. They feel like victims. Their influence actually shrinks.
But inside that larger circle is a smaller circle, your circle of influence.
Yes, this contains the things you can do something about: your own habits, your own reactions, your own skill sets.
Proactive people focus their energy strictly in this inner circle. And as they do, their positive energy and competence cause their circle of influence to naturally expand.
It's the fundamental difference between the haves and the best. The circle of concern is entirely filled with the haves. If only I had a better boss. If only I had more time. I'll finally be happy when I have my house paid off.
The focus is always external.
Always. The circle of influence, however, is filled with the best. I can be more patient. I can be more resourceful. I can be a better listener.
Think of the historical story of Joseph in Egypt. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers. He could have spent his entire life wallowing in his circle of concern, focusing on the gross injustice of what he didn't have, his freedom.
But instead, he focused entirely on what he could be in his current reality.
He was proactive, resourceful, and trustworthy. Eventually, by focusing on his influence, he went from a slave to a prisoner to running the entire nation of Egypt.
And the sources point out that you can actually catch yourself being reactive just by listening to your own daily language.
Oh, this is a great practical tip.
Reactive language sounds like this: I have to do this. He makes me so mad. I can't. It completely absolves you of responsibility.
There's a great anecdote about a university student who asked to be excused from class, telling Covey, "I have to go on a tennis trip." Covey stopped him and asked, "You have to go or you choose to go?"
The student insisted he had to, or they'd kick him off the team.
Covey pointed out that getting kicked off the team is a natural consequence, just like missing the learning is the consequence of skipping class.
Yeah.
The student was weighing those two consequences and consciously choosing the tennis trip.
Shifting your language from I have to I choose to stops you from being a helpless victim of your own schedule.
This shift from reactive victimhood to proactive choice completely changes how we approach our most intimate relationships, too. The text shares a story of a man who came to Covey complaining that his marriage had gone flat.
He said, I just don't love her anymore, and she doesn't love me. The feeling just isn't there. What do I do?
Covey immediately replied, "Love her."
The man was confused, repeating that the feeling was gone. Covey explained that Hollywood has scripted us to believe we are helpless victims of our feelings. But in reality, love is a verb.
Love is an action.
Yes. You sacrifice, you listen, you appreciate, you empathize. The feeling of love is simply the natural fruit of the action of loving. Proactive people do not wait for the feeling to dictate their actions. They use their proactive actions to generate the feeling.
Wow. Love is a verb. That is such a powerful reframing of how we interact with the people we care about most.
It really is.
If we look at the big picture of everything we've unpacked today, it's clear that true effectiveness is a profound inside-out process. It's not about finding a shiny new life hack to cram for success. It's about building foundational character.
It's about recognizing that your paradigms, your mental maps, dictate everything you see and ensuring they align with principle-centered lighthouses.
It's about nurturing the goose that lays the golden eggs. And most importantly, it's about claiming your ultimate human freedom, the responsibility to choose your reaction to any circumstance.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Something built directly from the end of our source material today. We've spent a lot of time talking about focusing on the present moment, on what we can control right now in our circle of influence.
Right.
But what about the mistakes we've already made? The past is fundamentally unchangeable, meaning our past mistakes currently sit permanently in our circle of concern. So, how do you proactively handle the unchangeable consequences of your past actions without falling back into the reactive trap of guilt, endless regret, or defensive self-justification?
That is a brilliant question to chew on as you go about your week. How do you proactively carry the weight of an unchangeable past?
It's a tough one.
It is. Take these concepts, the PPC balance, your paradigms, your circle of influence, and test them out in your own life. Thank you, as always, to you, the learner, for joining us on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep growing, and we will catch you next time.